Well, thank you for all of you for joining us and allowing us to present what Denbo does and has done for the city of Surrey and our valley and beyond. We've got our team here of experts around. We've got John and Tom, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you and what they do for Denbo and how they can help you as well.
Yeah, I'm John Gallons. I'm the technical sales representative of Denbo. Really what I am is your primary point of contact, a conduit to all things Denbo. That being said, we have a team approach here. We encourage interaction between our team and your team, City of Surrey. It's important to let you guys know that any questions you may have for projects, either prior to the project or during a project that we may or may not be involved in, you can always reach out to a Denbo team member to access our expertise. And we're more than willing to provide input where you think we can add value. That being said, always reach out to me. I can reach out to the team on your behalf, or you can even reach out direct as we move forward and you guys get more familiar with the Denbo team. That being said, I'd like to introduce Tom.
Thanks, John. As you see on your screen, guys, I'm identified as product development and quality control. Mostly what I deal with is the technical aspects of the soil, and in this case, our erosion control products. So, I mean, ask away in any questions you pop to the top of your head there, and I'll do my best to answer them. We do a lot of analytical work. We are technically minded. We can meet specifications, etc. So, take a look at what we have here and we'll go from there.
Yes. So yeah, one thing I'd like to just open the doors. This is can be a two-way conversation on anything that you'd like to pause or hold us to or move on from. Just feel free to just let us know and we'll pause and answer any questions along the way. Or we can save them to the end if you want to make notes, but anyway, we'll keep this friendly. Awesome. So, oh, sorry, I should be clicking away here. It's my job. There we go. So I've been with Denbo myself personally for all my life. Basically, it's our family business, and we've grown pretty significantly after 40 years of business. We serve all the way from basically Golden, BC, all the way down to the island, up the Whistler corridor. So we do quite a bit of work with our team. We started in agriculture, so many farms out in the Surrey area, we've put sawdust in them. We've moved on to using that mill supply to other ways, because our owner, who's up at the top left there, standing beside that old truck, but back then it was new, he's very inventive and innovative and entrepreneurial. So he had a vision to keep growing and do more neat things. And we've done a lot over this last several years, especially more recently with erosion and sediment control, which I think that we just did a project for City of Surrey, so we'll talk about that one a little later as well. So are you familiar, is anyone here familiar with any of these product lines? Filter Sock, Eco Blanket, Grow Socks, have you used them on any of your projects?
Yes, sorry, I'm muted. Yes, we have used, I'm familiar with all of them.
Oh,
and I think Trent, I know Trent probably is familiar with them as well, but for someone to call it may be new.
Okay, great. So this is just an introductory to show you what our erosion sediment control products are. And we'll go into more details throughout the slides just to drill down on how they're used and go through them. So this is a basically very important product for erosion control. It is an option, the better way versus hydroseeding. I know hydroseeding is done a lot, and in some places that could be successful. However, we really strongly believe in our product, which is Eco Blanket. And Eco Blanket is compost. It can be called a compost blanket, and it is fibrous, allowing water to filter down into the soil rather than running off as with hydroseeding. If it's a quick fix, hydroseeding, it looks green right away, but it really isn't growing what needs to, it's not stabilizing that slope as it should. So grow media with a microblend tackifier and fertilizer are what make Eco Blanket. So it's an interesting product if you haven't seen it. The first time I saw it on a slope at a residential, I was surprised at when we blew it onto the slope. I kicked at it actually, I just wanted to know what it did. And it really stuck to that slope. There was no movement. And that's the microblend tackifier that's in. It's kind of like it glues it to the slope. And so it is an immediate basically sediment control right away. If it's raining, doesn't affect it negatively. Water won't just rill going down the slope. So it's an immediate application, and we do it with our blower trucks, as you can see to the left. So no heavy equipment is required, which as we know, sometimes hard to reach places with equipment, or you're damaging the area through running excavators or whatever else through. So we have a way with our blower trucks to apply it directly to the slope in those hard to reach areas. Tom, you want to share a little more about?
Well, just, we'd like to point out here, Eco Blanket is great, Michelle describes as a compost blanket, but the blend of, or the combination of 3 different products, really with not much emphasis on fertilizer, other than that we can use it according to requirements. The grow media will cover quickly coming up, which it's a blend of woody compost. The microblend tackifier we will cover in more depth as well later, but it is integral to the process. Michelle describes it as a glue. It's also a microbial feed, which is going to contribute to the entire process. Important thing here is that it will adhere immediately, and it doesn't have to be planted for it to stop to provide slope stabilization. The planting will add to the whole process and make for a more stable slope, but it's immediately going to help stabilize and prevent erosion.
Yeah, we've done a number of projects over the last 15 years around City of Surrey, and you wouldn't even know just how quickly it becomes part of the natural environment. You wouldn't even know that this was done, and it's because it's terrace seeded. I believe City of Surrey has their own seed specifications for projects. Yes, so we have that actually in stock. Because we work with local seed suppliers and with the city plan holders. So we're familiar with those different products, and I'm not really a seed expert, so we leave that to the professionals, but Tom is our guy that we rely on for a lot of that information as well. So I'm just going to move on a little bit further into the action that Eco Blanket provides when it does rain, when it does rain. So the rain will hit the slope, and if it's not cared for, as we all know, the rain will just erode the soil right down the slope. And Eco Blanket is basically what it's called. It's a blanket, it's protection. It adheres right to the slope, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to make it smooth. So again, saving equipment, we don't actually prefer, Eco Blanket does better if it is not a really smooth surface. Scarifying is really good for it. If you have rock on it, that's not a problem. With Eco Blanket, literally just lays right on top, so that's the best part. It'll slow down the water, which is obviously really important, especially if you have houses down at the bottom of the slope, helping to make sure that that water captured along the way from the top of the slope right down to the bottom is really the goal of Eco Blanket as an erosion control option. The soil, if we seed it, which we can do with our blower trucks, that will also reduce the flow of the water down, and also green up that area. We all know that seeing green makes us feel better. We're in BC and we like green solutions. So if you're just to put a cocoa mat, which is a protection, it's not a good one. It will always look fairly ugly. And we've seen projects where people want something quick and easy, and they might hydroseed on top of it. The fact of the matter is it really often is not successful with growth. So our goal as a business is really to provide a green solution. We're growing more with that as a business, adding product lines to help help with our environment, especially as we all know, BC, we all really suffered this past season with fire, flooding. And so our goal is to continue to help our communities provide things like this that we know will help with those erosion projects. So does anyone have any question here on this product specifically?
I did, yeah. I had a question in regards, so it's back to the seeds. I was trying to interject, but my mute wasn't working.
Yeah.
Unmuting. Yeah, I was actually kind of just a bit curious, what is in your Terra seed blend? Is that like a proprietary blend or?
It is completely customizable.
Oh, okay.
So we work with a couple top seed specifiers in the Fraser Valley. So say you have a project that you would like to be drought tolerant because you know it's an area that won't see much rain. We'll work with them. They will provide us some seeds that blends that we present to the customer, and they would approve that. So very customizable. The only some seeds are really large, and that will be more of a challenge, but it's very rare that is ever a challenge. And then we have another way of applying that if there happens to be a big seed. So a little bit about our blower trucks, just to explain. Actually, there we go. We'll just pass by with the slope. So this is a terrace seeding project. Beautiful wildflowers, which is sometimes people want it to look beautiful. And so they will ask us to put wildflower seeds into the mix. Do any of you work a lot with the seeds, or Miriam, you said you're part of the seed specifying in the city of Surrey?
Yeah, I was part of the team that was coming up with the specifications, particularly just for like the different, some for riparian areas, some more for meadow, and then also to just noting that with parks, just for having like this pollinator species is also important in particular areas of parks. So yeah, so I was on the team that was assisting and kind of coming up with our specs. And since then, I believe that you have copies of our various specs for the different applications. And we also have like our roadside, which we just need something pretty low lying. We don't want anything that grows too big, too fast. That's hard for the mowers to manage. And also, you know, out competes our newly planted shrubs. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. That's yeah, that's fantastic. And like I said, whatever a customer would like to see is what, and obviously zones, you know, what you might need in Whistler is different than what you're going to need in the Fraser Valley. So we rely on the specialists, actually the seed experts. We don't pretend to be that. So that's where you've already had the experience of working with seed suppliers. So that's fantastic.
And just for the others on the call here that tend to deal more on the operation maintenance side, we do have our ESC pre-mix and our roadside mix. So for any of you, if you're ever ordering it and it's mostly roadside work that you're doing, then that's easy to request because they should already be pre-spec'd out for us.
Can you just for our information, what are the difference between those two products that you just mentioned?
So I believe, I'm trying to remember exact specs. I haven't looked for a while, but for the most part, they're very much the same. It has to do with the height of the grass. I think it's one. And then also the distribution of clover is the other one, because the clover is really fast and it's low lying and it gives us that bake stabilization really quick. So I believe that's really it. And I can't remember, I know we had two separate mixes and I can't quite remember because I'm not the one that did the final determination if we ended up combining the ESC and the road mix or not. But I think there may be somewhat differences depending if it's like a ditch application where we know we're gonna have to do continuous mowing. We want to try to keep that not getting too long, too fast.
Makes good sense.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So one of how we can help your team is just with the blower trucks. It's a one-stop. So you arrive at a site with the soil or compost in the truck, and we blow it with our hose. We can go 400 or 500 feet from where the truck is. So we get into those hard to reach areas without damaging any of the land. So that's just something that's really important. We've added more trucks to our fleet just to make sure our capacity, we've actually added one that can blow even further. So that's the application. So the seed is in a hopper on the truck with the fertilizer, whatever is required by the customer. And as we're blowing the soil or the blanket, whatever it might be, the application needed, the seed is injected right into the soils. And this is really important because we all know what hand casting fertilizer and seed on top, well, you can have birds eat it or whatever, or, you know, but when it's in the soil, it's protected. And that'll allow, I mean, it might not be, depending on the season, it might be as fast as 5 days, we can get that seed activated because of the warmth of the soil. So it really does help and protect it. The other important thing about terrace seeding is via like terrace seeding with our trucks versus a hydro seed is it's not just sitting on the top of the surface. And I think that's really, really important for this, for good success, good erosion and sediment control, is that it's actually through the layers. So if we're applying 2 inches of soil, that seed is throughout all the layers. So that's where I'll just go back here. If you look at this slide, wherever the roots are right down to where the compost was placed. And we like to just really point that out because I feel like that's a very important factor for runoff and erosion control, is getting the seed right through the layers. Maybe you want to add to that, Tom?
No, I think for this, that was great, Michelle.
Okay. So we are, as we explained with soil or seed, sorry, we can customize. We also do custom soil blends, and it depends on the application you're requiring. Tom is the guy that we rely on to help work with our customers on creating that soil that could work for their application. So Tom, I'm going to let you discuss our soils specifically.
Sure. Miriam, is your group, you're primarily looking at the erosion sediment end of things? Or are you looking at engineered soils, landscapes, or things like that as well?
For the group that's here today, this is going to be more ESC and sort of operation maintenance type, like we're dealing steep banks, things nearby roads. Occasionally, there will be times when we maybe are deeper in the riparian area, but then there's a design that will come out of that from the design team.
Right. Well, some of this we don't need to spend as much time on. We intentionally put our structure zone in here because you may encounter this, because it's not always part of the simple landscape plan, in that it's also, as it states, a structural element. And this is structural soil. I don't know if anyone's seen this, where they'll put it under parking lots, roadways and things, and then also use it for the planting of primarily street trees. So we do this product. We've had a lot of experience doing that. We want to just point that out to the city that should you require this, we can meet specifications. There's a few different variations of how it's done. So we welcome your questions or concerns about what particular makeup of this blend you require. We term it structure zone as our name, but we do apply that name to multiple specifications. Won't spend as much time on that unless someone wants to ask a question, because and we'll skip over these, Michelle. I think.
Okay.
And please chime in with things that you require.
Yeah, just something that's really quick, just to let those on the call. So one of the reasons I'm sort of making these 2 blends was so that it'd be really easy and fast, because lots of times the crews have to deal in emergency situations. So we want to sort of be able to pick up a phone and say, hey, we need Dembo. This is, you know, for ESC, boom, you already know what blends you need. And it's like a one-stop shop, just because the logistics and dealing in emergency clearly is a lot. So it'd just be nice to just make it really streamlined for those who need to reach out to you. So that's sort of the hope. And that's one of the reasons why we kind of pre-created the blends, so that it's really easy for the end user to order and they don't need to be a seed expert or something. Right?
Perfect.
Wise.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's brilliant. Good. We'll just pass over structural, as it really has nothing to do with ESC. So we'll move into something that's really important for you. As we've talked about the eco blanket, which consists of grow media. So it is something we produce ourselves, and Tom will explain a little bit more about that. But again, you hit on something. You're looking for quick solutions. A call away. Let's get Dembo out. And that happened actually last week, which John will talk about a bit further. So we always have these products on hand. So grow media, we always have it on hand. We make it the cleanest probably in the Fraser Valley because of the way we source our material, which is very important to us. So you can trust that when we blow in soil, when we blow in our eco blanket, it will be clean. There won't be household garbage in it. There won't be little, those bread clips in it, which often happen with cities receiving green waste, because that's natural. Humans, our household stuff just gets dumped in. So we don't receive that kind of product. So just want to clarify where we source. This here is a little small example of basically erosion around this little pond. This is a residential yard, but this is just a beautiful little project. He wanted to create a campground in his backyard. He has a pond, and his goal was to make sure that this pond stays clean of runoff. It is a slope down. So we eco-blanket it, and the growth was significantly fast. Again, the importance of growth of vegetation, I believe, is probably important to you. And everything eco-blanket can be unseeded, by the way, just to clarify, seeded or unseeded. It's all personal preference. So we blew in the eco-blanket around the pond, and we protected any runoff from the driveway with our grow sock. And that is this product here that's basically, we blew it in place. So again, truck comes in with the sock, with the product, we do it on site. Trying to help anyone with labor costs. Obviously that's hard right now, we all know that, as well as just a quick clean process. We're not dumping on the ground, pushing things around. We do bulk deliver, but our goal is to really just promote the blower trucks, just because we know ease of use is important. So this project was successful. We have the eco blanket around the pond, and we have the grow socks, which was seeded as well. And it looks very nice and natural in the environment. I'll go through a little bit more about grow socks later in the presentation, talk a bit more about it specifically.
One thing that was interesting on that picture is that it looks like it was like there was riprap all the way around, and then they just blew on top of the riprap, and we still got this nice green, right?
That's right. That's right.
That's nice to know, because yeah, lots of times, we need the riprap for the bank stabilization, but if we can green it up, that's awesome.
Yeah, we call it grouting, and we do that often. Because again, as our city, as we become more populated, the more green we can, the better for our environment, air, water. We all know that comes from vegetation. So yeah, that is a good point that you just made. I didn't even think about pointing that out. So I did talk about just a minute ago about how we source our products. And again, we do have our location in Chilliwack. We receive from reputable companies that we want to work with, that care for what they bring us. We receive it, we sort it, and then we make our soils and our grow media from that. So Denbo is about really trying to process wood waste into new products or viable green products. So we make mulches as well, mulches, soils, eco blanket, all of our products, and that all comes from pretty much the same clean wood fiber. So forest, land clearing, things like that.
Yeah, I just want to point out to the group that it's important that we're using this clean green forest debris, because not all compost is created equal. There's a lot of different organic matter sources in the valley, from biosolids through manures to obviously municipal waste. Always have their place, but when you're using the material in more sensitive areas, we can quality control this material to a very specific amount. I like to point out that we choose, as Michelle said, the proper providers of this material. We make sure we're getting clean material. And so we look more to what the horticultural end use of the product may be, as well as just receiving product, where many of the product streams are waste product driven, waste stream driven. So, which, as I say, has its place, but by taking this path, we can assure you that we can work in the more sensitive areas. We have a very stable, consistent product on a regular basis. We point out, yes, we go through the process, everything's composted. From the base material, we get our grow media, branches off the soil amender, and then we'll go over a little bit more about the microblend and the eco blanket combination of things, which makes a proprietary material.
So a question for your team. Is there any specifications on soils that you will not allow to be used on any of your projects, just out of curiosity? Like biosolids or food waste based soils or anything like mushroom compost based soils?
I don't know, Trent, do you have any, do you guys have in your ESC plans, do you guys have any sort of specs on that?
No, I have a hard enough time getting any specs on a lot of these plans, so that kind of technical level of detail would be, be groundbreaking. But I haven't seen any specs to that speak to that directly, and I haven't. No one's ever questioned that, at least around me. So I can't really provide much insight.
Yeah, when I'm doing things in the more sensitive areas, we do put it into our specs that it has to be clean. We're concerned about invasive plants.
Oh, yes.
Seeds as well, right? Because we know a lot of the stuff, if you get it from, there's some super soil or something like that, this on, and then you just blackberry everywhere because unfortunately your knotweed or whatnot, it hasn't been dealt with properly.
Oh, knotweed.
It's a
Wow.
concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a concern. So we do make ask the contractor to to look into it. If they always do, there isn't very much quality assurance after that. I don't know. But in the sensitive areas, we definitely try to make sure that they're getting it from a reputable soil distributor.
That's good to know. So I'll just go a little bit more into this and then we'll move on. It's important to know that we heat test our products every week. That's important because our goal is to not bring in soil into a customer that has blackberries, so it's super critical that we make the highest quality. I'm not trying to sell you on our product, but we understand your point is you do not want some other communities knotweed blackberry bushes. So we understand that, and that's really important to us as well, to support you and everyone on that. So and we do that through our testing and analysis, and we regularly analyze our soils to make sure we are on track. So monthly.
Look at that momentarily, the soil analysis.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna flip a slide. It's quite analytical, and if you're not really into the soil analysis, you might not want to know too much, but I'll just, Tom will speak quickly about basically what analysis looks like when we take it in for testing and how detailed it can get for us. So
yeah, so this is something we do on a regular basis, so we can provide you that kind of answer, that we're quality control assurance. Important, worthy of consideration for everyone to think about is that a hotter, richer soil, in simplistic terms, may have more leachate. If you look at, we're not going to dive deep into this, but if you just look at the second column to the right, you can see that those numbers are stable. They represent the total fertilizer value of the soil. Unfortunately, if you get something really high in manure, that might be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that means all your nutrients going to run off quickly into the surrounding environment. So these are stabilized nutrients that are going to contribute to organic matter, proper pH, and a whole benefit of things across the board. It's going to come more to the fore. Again, I'll just leave it at that, phosphorus in the States and in different parts of Canada is becoming more and more of an issue. So we'll keep an eye on the phosphorus levels for you and the potential runoff issues that may occur from that. Well, unless anybody has any questions, I'll leave it at that for now, because this can be like a boring slide to look at for very long. I get that.
So we're going to go back to the microblend, which is really important for your ESC work. Just knowing that is a part of the compost or the eco blanket that we apply. And we have done a lot of work with slope stabilization along the Sea to Sky Highway and all through Whistler. So we're very experienced with the work we do. I do want to highlight just a few things that are important for you as you hire your subcontractors. Safety, obviously, working with companies that do business properly. So we do have Fall Pro training for all of our staff. We're able to do any slope work because of that. Again, this is a picture of our blower truck. It has the material inside. It has a seed and fertilizer in a hopper, and we're able to apply through our hose And you can see the distance that we're going down. This is quite a significant slope. So hard to reach areas, we are not afraid of. We're there, we have capacity to. We have 4 dedicated blower trucks just for this kind of work. And mulches, we do mulches for City of Surrey, we do play chips, we do a lot. But we're dedicated with a decent sized fleet for that area. I'm just gonna hand it off to Tom to explain why the microblend is such an important factor in good quality slope stabilization.
Yeah, we love this product. I mean, we take a really high quality wood debris compost, and with the microblend turning into something extra special, as it does act like a glue immediately to help bond the material to the surface, which of course can be important in rainfall events as things establish. But then you see all this other fancy language on the bottom, basically describing that the bacteria and fungi and beneficial microbes in the soil are going to use the microblend for food. So it's a natural product that's going to degrade in the environment without any negative effects whatsoever, and also feed the microbial activity, which will then further enhance the structure of the soil, help knit it to the slope, and provide for nutrient supply for the plant material as it grows. So it's a win-win all around, this material. It's proprietary, but it's basically made up of natural materials that will act like the glue and then become a microbial food.
Are you I mean, I know City of Surrey, do you have a lot of slope work requirements for erosion that you're working off of, or have a lot of challenges from time to time? I know you have a lot of stream bank restoration, which we'll talk about. We've done a lot in the City of Surrey, we love it. But is there a lot of slope concerns for you guys?
I don't know if anybody else in the call wants to answer that, more the bank. Then.
Hi there. I'm Lance. I do the soil permits for the City of Surrey, and the side slopes of the preloads are quite susceptible to erosion. So this could kind of come in handy for that kind of stuff, for home plates and stuff like that in farmland.
Yeah. Maybe
not so much in Bridgeview where they're doing big commercial projects, but for the smaller stuff.
Yeah, I mean, no project is too small as well. I mean, you see right here a very large project, obviously multi-days, but one load we do as well. So just small projects we're very happy to do as well. So I just don't want to clarify that.
So I do have a couple questions here. How does the price compare to hydroseeding?
Let me see. I don't have an exact per square meter pricing. I don't do the quoting portion, but we can get that to you just so we can give you a bit of an idea. Okay. And of course, with hydroseeding, you have to start with a good soil base initially, where there's areas where you're going to have to place soil and then hydroseed on top. We will hands down beat that anytime.
Right. So how steep can you go?
2 to 1.
I'm personally interested because I've got some river banks on some property I have up country that are vertical.
Okay.
Eroding really fast. I'm just wondering, and like, do you have the ability to install by boat kind of thing along a river bank?
Yeah, we have. We've done a fair bit of work like around Belcara and things from a barge.
Okay.
That gets very, very tricky because you're working with tides and everything like that. So it's a big process to do, but we have done it successfully on a number of projects for our people's backyards. So that is a yes.
Do you have the ability to apply from water, like more small scale, like not barge size?
Well, our trucks are about, well, they're heavy, so you'd have to have a barge heavy enough or a bit able enough to hold the truck like that.
Right.
So that's important, as well as the length. I would say you got to have about 45-50 feet overall for length.
Lance, are you thinking like park the truck on the riverbank, put the hose out to somebody standing in a boat?
Well, yeah, I guess it would probably be easier to just access by land, but you know, it's a
Generally speaking,
set riparian setback, so it's kind of hard to get the hose in there.
I want to jump back before we leave this, Lance, and say the hydro seed versus terra seed thing's a little bit apples and oranges, and we certainly understand the benefit of hydro seeding, but in some instances, the blowing of the soil is going to add so much more benefit to the overall project. When you're looking at sand preloads and things like that, of course you have the sand, and you can, it's such a veneer, as you know, with the hydro seed. This will add a whole lot more substance and longevity, which I think is really important to the project. You know, you get your first flush with your hydro seed, and then it's anybody's guess depending upon the soil profile before, et cetera, but this really transforms the landscape into something that it was not before, is the best way.
So how thick do you usually apply?
2 to 4 inches,
Yeah,
Michelle?
2 to 4 inches.
It's hard to do less than 2, so.
Yeah, we don't do less than 2, just because like I said, you don't often start with a perfectly flat surface. So 2 inches allows for those little rocks to bulk up and still be covered.
Yeah.
And something not often considered in the overall cost benefit analysis is the fact that your grading is not so specific with the terra seeding, because you're going to basically make up with any deficiencies in the perfect grade with the use of the soil, which adheres to the slope. And that's really quite a benefit. As we said earlier, we don't mind at all if there's unevenness in the slope. That's going to help it bind. Whereas often if you're doing the hydro seed with a thin veneer, you better, you know, that's the grade. Your grade is where you're at.
That's one of the problems I often see is when they do topsoil placement, one, they're running machineries all over the topsoil anyway and compacting it.
Yes.
But then they put in this thin veneer, they usually end up with a very well-graded site. So everything just washes off anyway. To have better surface texture, or to rougher the texture that the material can bind to, and it holds it on the slope better. So yeah, you know, looking at the 2/16 overpass on Highway 1 there in Langley, you see where they tried topsoil and hydroseed, and the things just failed.
I was going
horribly.
to point that out. That's an exact example of hydroseed versus terra seeding. Was at the 2/16 overpass, and you see all the reeling that's happening because it was simply hydroseed, something quick and simple, cost saving on money, but overall it's been what, a year, and it's not growing. It still will continue to erode because you still got those little rills that are forming. So that is what our goal is. Our goal is to just provide the better alternative. Yes, hydroseeding is a cheap alternative, but terra seeding is the better alternative. I mean, that slope right there to the right is just the outcome of that. It is lush, it is green, it is there to stay. Yes, of course, you know, if it's longer grass and snow, it will, you know, it'll flatten it out. But again, you guys have your own mixes where you like, we want something short, we want something long. So that's the important benefit. So we don't try to compete on pricing with hydroseed. Our goal is just to provide the better product where needed. So, and sometimes, yes, hydroseeding will work just fine, flat surface or very healthy soil base underneath.
I had a question I was going to ask, but later on, but this is probably a good time for it. When you blow it in at 2 to 4 inches, how does it compact over time? Or does material kind of compact? Does it breaks down a bit, or?
Not much more than standard placement technology. Of course, as you referred to earlier, it's not great when guys are driving machinery all over any topsoil portion. I realize your grade has to be compacted, but in this case, we always allow for about a 20% compaction right out of the gate after the blowing, because the blowing inevitably fluffs it up a little bit. But then afterwards, it would be the standard rate of subsidence is a proper term, where it actually, the topsoil shrinks in place a little bit. So it would be no different than any other topsoil placement. So at the end of the day, adding those all up, it's not a whole lot different than if you had hand placed the topsoil.
Okay, and it doesn't become hydrophobic, like it doesn't crust over or anything? It stays fairly absorbent.
Excellent question. If really fast, Michelle, can we go back to the soil analysis page, or is that too? Oh, there it is. The reason it doesn't, see the below 2 mm portion and the above 2 mm portion? Soil is technically below 2 mm, and everything else above it is in soil science, not soil. But the combination of almost a 50-50 blend means it doesn't become hydrophobic. It maintains structure by still providing the fine material which is required for plant growth. Is a short answer there, Trent. I don't want to go on all day about it, but it doesn't become hydrophobic.
Nope, that answers it.
Good, okay. And you had asked for, so 2 to 1 is typical for Eco Blanket. And we do work with Nilex products if we need GeoGrid as well. So we can place Eco Blanket underneath, GeoGrid on top, and then blow your top layer of Eco Blanket on top of that if you're really working with steep slopes. I'll just, we have about 10 minutes left. Are you guys in a rush? I mean, we can stay a little longer if you would like. Okay. All right. So
Sure. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, but probably would be more of interest is probably just to really like run and just kind of show the various different products quickly.
Sure.
Who aren't familiar with it.
perfect. Let's do that. So this is a filter sock. This is around the city of Surrey and in multiple places. It is an alternative, a better alternative to silt fence, just because it's we can blow it into place. You don't need stakes. It can be cut open and the soil removed or product inside removed. So it's a bit, you're not landfilling too much, which with silt fence, you know, we all see them along the highways falling over. They're really not well maintained. Where with the filter sock, we can actually blow it in place. We can supply on pallets as well for a person to place it in around their own drains. Again, it's important. We have a certain spec of product that goes into the filter sock, and it depends on your project what you're looking for. But the goal is to really keep the sediment, the fine silty sediment, out of your drain system. So that's where our filter sock will allow the water to slowly seep through and capture on the outside, as you can see, any of those hydrocarbons, pollutants. This is a project in Richmond that I'll just highlight here quickly. Originally, they put silt fence all along here. What happened is, as we know with silt fence, it could fall over. If it's not done properly, fine silt will still get under it, through it, and we're all trying to protect our waterways. So the company called us in to blow into place again. We're trying to help companies make things easy. We blew this right into place. This is a grow sock. It's actually filled with compost, and it was seeded. And the intention was to make sure that our grow sock, because it's heavy, compost is heavy, it literally smashes against the ground tightly. And that way that this fine silt is captured on the upside of the waterway rather than going into it. And the beautiful part of grow sock is when it's seeded, it stays. It looks very environmentally, aesthetically pleasing, and it will continue to do what it needs to do, which is keep runoff from going into waterways. You see that already. We've done a lot of that around the city of Surrey. A very, very big fan of it, and for good reason. It's a very good product, an important product. And again, our blower trucks simply blew in soil on the upside, and then they planted it in. So again, our application of our trucks is multi-diverse. On that, any questions, anything specific to maybe the grow sock for anyone?
I was just going to point out, but if you look on the picture to the right, the silt fence is still remaining at the end of the project as garbage.
Yeah.
It has to come back and get removed. And you know, it wasn't really
No.
the application of the grow sock.
When it does get moved, right?
Yeah.
Caught up against it.
So yeah, it would have been, it's kind of a obsolete BMP in that
Mhm.
regard.
Have you done a cost benefit analysis of you know, between silt fence and grow socks to you know, like it must save a lot on labor and
Yeah. It's saving on labor. And if you're making your crews or your construction crews remove, you obviously got landfilling costs with silt fence. So if you really take into account all the extras that you don't really consider when you price per linear foot silt fence to gross ox, gross ox is going to appear to be more costly for sure up front. However, if you really did all the math, and others have done it, it's very much in line with each other when you count for labor and disposal removal and going back and checking and maintaining. I mean, that's not even ever considered the maintenance to do it properly. Silt fence is supposed to be monitored and so when you consider all of those extras.
Plus, not in every case, but it's often a permanent installation, so it's functioning in a permanent fashion. It will break down over a period of time, but the structure of the material will remain in place and continue to function.
I think also too to note is how much destruction the removal of silt fence can do, especially if you have the contractor that came in and keyed it incorrectly. And then now we start having the planting and the growth on top of it, and then try to come back and get it. Like you're just destroying a lot along the silt fence as well that you have to come back and fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's truly when you understand and you're looking to do things the right way, the better way. That's why we stand behind and gross ox, because we do believe it is a better way. You can see right here, it was used in a bioswale. Look how beautiful and natural it became. Again, a custom seed. It was vegetated 3 months afterwards. You don't even know it's there, but it's doing what it needs to do, and it's slowing down the water from, I mean, it was coming in off a parking lot. It probably created and sloped properly up here. The water enters and literally is coming down rather than just through a ditch, taking dirt and with it, it's slowing down, feeding the environment again, you know, with growing vegetation, which is taking in the water, which is all really important for our environment. So
I'll say too, I like how you also have sort of like the horizontal placement to kind of create little cells along the way. Like that's a really good idea too. I haven't seen that application yet. That looks really good.
Yeah, the purpose is really just to slow that water down and clean it up as it goes down. So it's really all about stormwater here. Wherever you're going to, you know that the water's just going to be rushing at times. This is a way to slow it down. So a good practical installation. I mean, we could park up here. You're not even taking equipment in. You're just running it all through blower hose. So very effective once again to kind of not disturb the environment.
What's the material on the grow sock on the outside? Like you say, it's a permanent product. Like, is it a plastic-based product or is it a biodegradable product? Like, what's the?
We can get it. It is biodegradable through a long time, but there is more. There is sock that is more biodegradable that we can use. We typically have not, but we can order it in. Typically the goal is to have it in place and vegetate it and let it just become part of the natural landscape, even though it is, what do you call it, a geotextile.
It is geotextile. Yeah, and Michelle pointed out we can do different geotextiles. The standard one, of course, is technically biodegradable, but over a long period of time. So then you have to weigh out the pros and cons of that. But if it does biodegrade in place, it's still going to provide the overall function by the time this becomes a naturalized environment. So we would discuss that with you. And that's something we're moving more towards, is the more biodegradable version on a more regular basis.
And do you still do the eco berm product? Like if we wanted to not have the geomesh or geofabric in there, if we wanted to put in the eco berm instead so that there wasn't a fabric left behind, is that still something you do?
Yeah, we can, and you would just add microblend into it to make sure it sticks, and also you want to seed it so that it gets vegetated.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have actually a berm builder. We never use. I think the preferred method has always been just make sure it's captured in a sock, so that it really does function as sediment control solution.
Before we go up the dike.
Oh yeah.
Because we're almost done.
We're almost done, and I'm going to skip over the rain garden because I don't believe that's really that important for ESC work. This is North Vancouver. Again, here you see in 2 weeks that slope was successfully seeded. growing. This was a failed product. They had, sorry, the initial was cocoa mat, and they had hydroseeded. So again, not successful. The residents were unhappy with it, and City of Vancouver had their own coastal or their own seed spec, just like I said about seed specs. Called us in, and it looks beautiful. The neighbors are happy, the customers happy. Here's another slope. This is Maple Ridge. Again, slowing water. The big goal, you have houses at the top, you have houses at the bottom. And we do not want to flood basements, and we are called in to provide eco blanket and grow socks here again. And the whole intention is the water will infiltrate into the compost blanket, or eco blanket in our term, and then slowly go down the slope. You can see there's no reeling activity here, and this is after rainfall, so that's a success. Unfortunately, I don't have an updated picture. I sure would love one. But I guarantee it's all green, and you likely don't even see the grow socks anymore. So let's just get right through, because we are time constrained. We're going to talk about this, and John's going to speak to this. This is very recent here. John?
Yeah, this was the reason we wanted to introduce this quick slide here. This addresses Miriam's point about people in the field being able to contact us, and we have a solution that we can apply very quickly. This particular one is just off of 16th Avenue. Maybe move forward to the slide there. It was off of 16th Avenue by Little Camel, where there was an issue with bank erosion. City of Surrey crews came in and placed the riprap there, and we were called in to provide an eco blanket solution above that riprap to basically augment its work and create a scenario where any sediment does not get down into the Little Camel. So we basically took the call. We went in. Within 3 days, I believe, Miriam, we were there on site, and our crew was well prepared and placed the eco blanket solution in. It was terraceted to a certain spec. And these pictures here, we took about 4 or 5 days after to show you the adherence of the eco blanket to the slope. If you notice in the pictures, we actually did that grouting we referred to earlier into the riprap. And this particular application was 3 to 6 inches because the grade below was very variable. There was lots of different little bumps and valleys in there. So we were able to basically do that. We capped it off with the filter socks up at the top behind the concrete to basically capture any other water flow that was coming off of 16th Avenue. If you go back, there's a quick video which we wanted to put in because it shows how efficiently the crews can apply. You see our truck there. And quick video, but just to show you the efficiency of the crews and how we actually install the product. Traffic control was only required for about 3 hours on site. It was done on a Friday morning. And after we had left 3 hours later, this was the result of what you see. Are there any questions on that specific job, or?
Did you say the one was these two were taken a couple days apart?
Yes. Yeah.
What's interesting is seeing, so, you know, when you first see like the first picture, you can see some of the product on the rocks, and you'd expect that to like go away or whatnot, but it looks like it's adhering quite well.
Yeah, that's the microblend. That's the magic of the microblend.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe we did have a couple smaller rain events between. So the adhering was really quite good.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any pictures since it vegetated?
This was actually a very recent, I think it was only 2 weeks ago. So we should be seeing some vegetation on it now. My plan is over the next couple of weeks to again pop by the site and get a couple more pictures for Miriam to distribute to you guys.
Where is it?
Pardon me?
Where is it on the Little Campbell?
It's very easy to get to. And there's a sidewalk along that concrete barrier. It's
Yeah.
on 16th Avenue.
It's around
And it right by
9300 block. That's 9300 block, just past Erosion.
Okay.
And actually, it's on my list to go and swing by this site on Tuesday morning.
So the one thing is it's really been cold, so
Yes.
we won't have seed growth. As soon
Thank you,
as,
Cole.
yeah, as soon as we have that really spring-like warm, that will grow. But right now, you're not going to see growth.
Which is, yeah, to the benefit, because if it really started hard and then it got this cold, unfortunately, that'd be a setback. But we're looking good with the soil, with the seed in the warm soil, and wait about 2 to 4 weeks and we should have significant growth.
I was saying it's on my list to go take a look at on Tuesday when I go and do some site visits. Also, because we're going to have quite a bit of rain over the weekend, just to see how it continues to stand up. So I will definitely share that with the team.
Excellent, fantastic.
Is everybody good for time?
We're pretty much out of time. Just gonna quickly just show a few more things that are important to you. Again, StreamX, we have done so much of this type of work around City of Surrey over the last several years. And again, this is GROSOC, and the intention is to protect your streams, the stream banks. We blow it in place. We've done a number of projects where it's locally right on the water and keeping the runoff from entering the stream, and also the erosion from the stream. So we've got different options there. When done in certain ways, it'll actually keep the bank from eroding in certain areas with the filter sock. The water will run and hit the filter sock, which is growing, vegetated, and protect streams. So we've done a lot of that through the City of Surrey successfully. And this here is a project in Abbotsford, and the intention wasn't protection. It was protection of water rising and going into this church and parking lot and play area. So that's the intention of this application, was really to add height to that stream.
Is that Old Claiborne?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, nothing stopped the recent events.
Oh, that was a 200-year rain event, so.
Yeah. So, but that obviously had challenges with that waterway rising and falling, and they added 4 feet basically with this GROSOC, and it remains in place and it's vegetated. So
Yeah, I got pictures of that creek flowing in that storm, and yeah, it was pretty impressive.
yeah, I bet. I didn't ever get down there or even see too many pictures because we're just right in the other side of the flood, right here in Sumas. So let's see. Okay, well, we are out of time. I mean, we could show you project after project in Surrey even alone, but I hope we've demonstrated something that you can visualize for your team. Applications that make really good sense for you as you work on projects, or you hold your contractors to doing specific work. We've worked with Blue Pine, for instance. They've been hired to do a lot of work on 160th and 32nd there. We did a lot of work with them. So we work for contractors, we work direct for cities, we work for whoever is looking for a solution. So.
Question. So with these, with the socks, you can stake them too, right? They can be staked.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
These are stapled. Yeah, here's a staple, the rebar. We can wood stake them. So rebar now, we're looking more of a staple. So it's like a picture staple going around it. And
I meant more staking it for like with willow stakes and redwoods or dogwood for riparian.
That's right. Yeah.
And then the other question, do you actually put them like along the side, like partially like in the stream, or is it really just bank?
Forests on the bank. So, I mean, they right along, depends if you're looking to keep the water from eroding the bank, then we are taking them along the base of the bank. Yes.
That's what I'm wondering. Because we get some pretty good like undercut bank areas, or we get, almost that vertical, like 1 to 10. So sometimes we need something. Exactly. And the engineer's like, we want a riprap. And you're like, can we try something else? Right. So I'm just wondering sort of what your experience is of how much sort of like, I guess, deflection and protection it would have against sort of the erosive forces of the flows.
It will, because it's in this sock and it becomes vegetated. So what we will do is John will get you some, we have a lot of project profiles from City of Surrey specifically on stream bank restoration. We'll get those to you.
Okay, sounds good. So I guess I don't know if I know others are on the call. If people want to continue asking a couple questions, seeing a bit more, feel free to stay on. But if you need to tap out, go ahead. Or if you have any last minute questions that you want to ask, please feel free to do so.
I have one. Do we have any pictures of how, like after 2 to 3 growing seasons, how it looks?
Yeah, so this year, this Claiborne one is 4 seasons specifically. Yeah, we will have others. Oh my goodness, that
Well, some of the earlier slides go way back from the Whistler,
yeah.
from the Whistler highway construction, so those are pretty old now.
And also Trent, if you drive by the 160th site, that one there's already at least 2 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that one was pretty impressive, just even within a matter of weeks.
Yes, yeah, I was actually on that project. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot being in the field as well myself. And so that was one of my first filter sock projects, or grow socks, I would say, on that one there. So
Yeah. And
I've just seen lots of pictures of the initial seed pop, and I've just yeah, I've never really gone back to see how it performed long term. I mean, in terms of hydro seeding, it's far superior in my opinion. So I'm not trying to, you know, I was just curious of how the seed bank performs over time.
yeah, we'll get those to Miriam to distribute to her team. So we have lots of project profiles that we've gone back to long time later. So yeah.
Cool.
any other questions?
So thank you all for taking the time with us. We appreciate it.
Awesome. And I think I'm going to try to set one up with our engineering team, so that with the DNC team, sorry, I'm designing construction as well, because they're interested in learning what's out there, and they keep hearing me talk about it, but they don't really know its application, except for those that maybe worked on 160th now or have worked directly with the sites.
Yeah, and we'll have some video too of that project, of how we do it too. We do have good videos, so we're gonna get some more of that into your hands.
Okay.
And I think one thing to note, Miriam, too, is I've had some of the projects come in where, you know, we had specified terra seed, and the contractor and they've been approached by other people to come in and hydro seed instead. And I think it's important that when we get that, we need to push back, because of the reason we're terra seeding is because of the performance of the slope, rather than, you know, the more historical practice of just hydro seeding.
Yeah.
And I've had some pretty, you know, good conversations with contractors who just want to, you know, go for the old practice of hydro seed, because they were just looking at the sticker cost up front to them.
Yeah, I see the same with in trying to get the silt fence taken out. I'm seeing sort of the same thing. So I know for me, I try to push it back as to what was submitted in the proposed, like in the regulatory documents, that's what we have to deliver. And it's a really good note to kind of keep on top of that.
Yeah, and especially when we're talking to DNC, to make the project managers aware, hey, if you see this change order come in, like, you know, don't just sign off on it.
Fair enough.
And we're happy to, you know, if you're working, I'm sure you work with certain contractors, project over project over project. We're happy to just meet with them as well on your behalf, or, you know, just to help them understand why you're pushing specific applications, and whatever that might be that's Denver related. We're happy to set those meetings up to help them understand. I think we should all be approaching things to do things well and not do things cheap. I think that should be. But that, I mean, it is the world we all, you know, we're always looking for those sales, right? You know, Walmart sales, rollback pricing. So I get it. So it's the natural way, but.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for your time. I think this was a really good introduction, especially for those who weren't familiar with your product in the beginning. And then I guess if anybody has any more questions, feel free to either, I guess John is our contact. And John, I assume that, or if it's possible to sort of get just some sort of, I don't know, like a quick page or just something that maybe lets people easily see what options are available and how to contact you for just really fast utilization. I think that would be a benefit.
I get what you're looking for, and we'll put that together for you.
Awesome. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Unless I don't think anybody has any more burning questions out there.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for your time. We appreciate it. And we look forward to further connection, and we're welcome to email us any questions. Tom for technical soils, John for any, he'll get the right answers to you.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for all of you. Find out.